So we're here at Mount Baldy, and people always focus on the trees that come from that are in the ground from closer to the lake to here, and the trees dying. But there are trees that are trying to come to the rescue of the parking lot, and I'll show you what they're doing right here. So if you see, these branches are coming down from these trees, and they're putting their hands out like this saying, hey, stop. And these trees are gonna get more thicker branches. So anyway, ideally, a natural solution would be if we plant trees here, it'll slow it down. But honestly, this dune is 125 feet or so tall. There's 125 feet. If you draw a line to Route 12, unless we get more sand from somewhere. So how do we get sand here? So of course the water currents bring it, bounces off of Michigan City's pier break wall. Then it routes some of that sand, which should have went there, is now here. Then there's naturally sand coming through the water. Then the wind's blowing it. So why is it called, we were on a hike, someone said, why is it called Mount Baldy? Because the top area is bald, there's no vegetation, so the wind blows it. So do you know there is also a living dune? It's not spoken about really, but if you go on Trail 9 from the state park, from the visitor center, Trail 9 to the beach house blowout, you'll go up, and when you get up there, there is a big area that's just sand. If you're on that narrow trail, it's like 2 feet wide, and it's going on the rim. Look down to the right, and you will see, what will you see? You'll see the sand going down. You'll see trees being covered down there. And so that dune is moving. Now you want to have fun. When it's like 40-mile-an-hour winds, go up on Trail 8 to the top of Mount Jackson. So there's a sign, a post here. Let's say this is the post for Trail 8, Mount Jackson. If you go over there, there's a little vista. And if you look out that way, you will see sand. That is the top of the beach house blowout. And that also, you'll see, I have videos, photos, the sand coming off, and that sand is a killer. That sand is killing trees. So there are already trees at the beach house blowout where the sand is up. And the cottonwood tree, as you may have heard, it doesn't die from the sand. The cottonwood tree embraces the sand. The sand comes around it. Say this was a branch here, and it's going out. If the sand covers that branch functions as a root. 5 years later, what happens? The wind blows different, and that root is now exposed. It now begins to function like a branch, and leaves can come out. So the cottonwood is adaptable, flexible. The oak is not. It's stubborn, and when the sand comes around it, it can kill. It does kill. It creates. There's some people on scholar.google.com talk about bacteria, and it kills the oak. So what happens to the oak tree? So now it's dead, and I'm going to show you some real neat stuff, which I always use for a lesson here. And so what I'm looking, so you see those posts. I'm going to take you over here. I just love the sound of rain. I love hiking in the rain. It's so refreshing. And when there's heavy rains, you see puddles and reflections. Okay, so let's look at this. So I want to make sure I got it here. If you look at this post, you'll see, of course, this is dead and there's just a little hole. Let's go look at this one. This is dead. Now we're gonna go over here. Still pretty dead. Look at this beautiful gem here. You could see it's rod. Look at my hand. This is the Decomposition Chimney, or there's another name for it too, but that's one of the popular names. So it's hopefully you can see it. It's rotting out from the center, and now there's this hole. So picture a hole like 60 feet. So since I'm here, might as well go over to the milkweed patch. So this is milkweed, very small. So here's milkweed. So what happens with milkweed is that a monarch butterfly will lay one like egg on the bottom. So I'm checking, I don't see any. Why do they only put one? Because that one will turn into a hungry caterpillar, and it will eat something like 2,000 times its weight. Anyway, it keeps growing. It could devour the whole plant. So if we put two on here, they could starve. So I'm just going to show you this. So I've seen this many times here. So the caterpillar will take roughly 2 weeks, 12 days, 14 days, and you'll see this caterpillar. Then it comes away from the milkweed plant, and what does it do? It finds a spot to hang on, attaches itself. It makes itself a J. So I have photos. So a caterpillar came, and right here, you can see this is indented. Right here, it was hanging. Well, this gets real hot. Anyway, there was maybe some germ or whatever that didn't make it. But I was over here, and this is the west side of the bathroom. You'll see bicycle rack, and I don't see one here now. But there was the J here. So you're not going to believe it if you haven't seen this. It is just incredible. Here's what it is. So anyway, the eggs laid roughly 2 weeks. You got this caterpillar eating up, getting very large. Then the caterpillar crawls away, finds some place to hang, make a J. The chrysalis is roughly there 2 weeks, and the chrysalis is green in color. It looks beautiful, and it's got like gold trim. It looks like a piece of jewelry, like you'd hang on a necklace. So what happens next is photographers come and they're looking at still green. So roughly 2 weeks, it goes clear. You can actually see there the orange. You could see the monarch in there. Guess what happens? It starts to move and break apart. Well, so now that monarch is moist, it's wet, right? It has to move, stretch, and dry out. So photographers are there looking. So this could be hours, or who knows, a lot more. And when I would say the theorem is that when the photographer runs to the restroom, when he turns his head, that is when the monarch is drying up and flies off. So there's a lot of misconceptions about monarchs. So there's not one monarch that flies from Canada to Mexico. It's a relay race. The first one goes through this cycle of 2 weeks, and then the next monarch that comes goes through that process for roughly each of those 2 week segments. Then the next one, so that's 3 now. The fourth one lives 6 months or more. So if you look at the monarchs, if you were to dissect them, you would not notice a difference between the monarchs. So anyway, here in the Indiana Dunes in 2019, 2020, 2021, the peak day was roughly around September 20th for migration. How peak is it? Well, there were thousands of monarchs flying from this way east along the lakefront. The next town is Beverly Shores, which is down here. There's something called Lakefront Drive. They went down. I was driving my car. It's very low and there's windows down. Monarchs are like flying around it. I get to the end of Lakefront Road. That's a state park. And I said, man, where are they going to go, all these monarchs? So I think of Coles Bog. What is Coles Bog? Well, it's actually a fen, but there's a trail that goes up to a super high dune. I actually believe it's about the equivalent of Mount Tom, 192-93 feet. Anyway, along all that down part are plants that they love. They don't need milkweed at this point. They're not laying eggs here. They're moving. They need fuel. They need tasty stuff. So what do they have? They have this showy yellow goldenrod. Showy yellow goldenrod. So the dunes has about 7 different goldenrods. And so here they are on this hill, and they're just blowing in the wind, and monarchs by the hundreds, thousands of are there, and then they take off. So we have monarchs that then go to Mexico. However, if you're a monarch over in the west, you go to Southern California. I met many people from Southern California. They said, oh yeah, there are trees down here covered with monarchs. So they don't all have to go to Mexico. Now here's the big pop quiz. How big is the sanctuary in Mexico for monarchs? So you're probably gonna say, oh, it's a mile this way, mile that way, whatever. It is only 7 acres. 7 acres. It keeps decreasing. Why? Because there's people down there that want to do farming and logging. And so how critical is that? I can tell you this, that there are the head of that sanctuary and like his assistant were both murdered somewhere like around 2020 or somewhere around there. So they don't like that sanctuary, some people there. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about milkweed and World War II. So someone from an animal rescue sanctuary in Valparaiso told me this story. So I'm going to show you. Unfortunately, I got to come this way so you can see. Here are pods on the top of milkweed. What were they used for? In World War II, our United States, of course, had a great navy. What do sailors wear? What if as me as a kid, I always remembered sailors having orange life preservers, life jackets. What's in there? There's material. Where did they get it from? Japan. Guess who wouldn't give it to us anymore? Japan. So what are we going to do? We had people who was paid or they volunteered. It could be kids, it could be adults. They would go around to the milkweeds and pop this off. Usually they wanted it when it was drier and bigger because that's more efficient. So they would pop these off, not break them, pop them off, put them in a bag box and drop them off somewhere. I don't really know where they dropped them off. I didn't read that far yet, but let's just say it was a post office or something like that. Then the government would take those and they process that stuff and they use that for stuffing for life jackets. So I'm here to tell you that milkweed is not only needed for monarchs to lay their egg, but it is also used for life jackets in World War II, and so they saved lives. So where am I? This is Mount Baldy. This is 100 Rice Street in Michigan City, and you could see the dune there. This is the parking area, and when I look this way, that's out to Route 12, and to that direction is Michigan City, the current power plant by NIPSCO going away in 6 years. The other way, which is that way, is Beverly Shores, but that's the Great Marsh. And that before the Great Marsh is a marsh, and that's where I saw 32 white great egrets in August of 2020. So I sent that to the Audubon and Facebook page, and they responded saying thank you for the photos. They said normally you'll see a siege, it's called, and there's only 4. There's only 4 that will be together. So I have a friend named Annie, and she comes out this area just about every day checking the marshes, and she sends me a message. And what does she talk about in that message? The last one I got from her a couple days ago said there are 50, at least 50 great egrets, and she gave me the exact location, and so that's pretty incredible. So it's August, and believe it or not, some birds are starting their migration. Now take sandhill cranes. Sandhill cranes, I've personally seen them around middle of March this year, 2022, and I've seen them also to November at Jasper, Pulaski, this nature area in Indiana. There's tens of thousands of them, and if you come early in the morning, maybe sunrise and around there, they're taking off, and around sunset they're coming back. But really, honestly, I've been there in the middle of the day, and I've seen big groups come, and still impressive. So if you're not there at sunrise or sunset, don't give up. Just stay there for like an hour. There's I call it, looks like a fortress where you go up. There's telescopes, but there's going to be a lot of people with cameras. So the last thing I'll say is mushrooms. The weather up here has been pretty horrid, hot and humid. Well, I say horrid, it's not horrid for fungi. And on the Pinhook Bog Upland Trail, where we were on Friday, we saw green mushrooms. I saw what I call a chocolate ice cream with almond one, and I have photos of it. It looks like the top of an ice cream swirly cone. So I'm gonna leave you with one last view of Mount Baldy. And that black stuff there is magnetite, and it is the most magnetizable mineral there is. And I have a magnet. You're not going to be able to see it probably. You can. Oh, actually you can. That is magnetite. So if I had a bunch of magnetite right here, it would be popping up like that high. So anyway, that's the story. Have a great day. Thanks for watching, and check out IndianaDunesHiking.com, where there's scheduled hikes, which I think are boring. I like to do spontaneous pop-up hikes based on the weather, like I did one last night, because the moon was 67%. It was clear, and I went out to the Indiana Dunes at night from 9 to 11 p.m. State Park. But you can request a hike, so veterans can request a hike. They can, and it's what I call on demand. They could say, hey, can you go to this place tomorrow? And I'll say, yeah, and we'll figure out a time. So that's hiker, HIKERVETS at gmail.com, hikervets.com. If you're just like the general public, you could send an email to IndianaDunesHiking at gmail.com. And anyway, no matter which way where it goes to, I'll get it and communicate with you. And the last thing is, if it's urgent, you have an urgent question, urgent need, or you need an urgent hike. So I can't check email continuously because I'm with people hiking. So you can text 1-219-370-9119. That's 1-219-370-9119. Thanks.